And it looks like we are live here coming from the Washington Football Maniacs. Let's start the show. And welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. And of course, this channel is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel. And also, when you do, hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. Hopefully, everybody is able to hear me. If you can't, let me know. I will start the stream all over again. But hopefully you guys are listening to something that is fully working. And you know what? I am going to just test things again if I can, just to make sure. Yep, looks like audio is working. So, okay. Because my stuff is so faulty here lately that you never know when it's going to work and when it's not, right? But anyway, so we got a lot to cover. Washington just completely just decimating the Carolina Panthers in this game, and is really something that they were supposed to do, right? Because if Washington's going to be a good team, going to be considered a good team, they got to be able to decisively beat teams that are worse than they are. And they definitely did that. Then they not only decisively beat the Panthers, but I mean they blew them out. Um, Honestly, at one point, I'm kind of like I was disappointed when the Panthers scored. Yes, I'm that petty because yeah, I was like, oh come on, I'd love to see a shutout. I have not seen a shutout in quite a while, but alas, 40-7. That is kicking some major booty there, but it did come at a price. Early in the first half, Jayden Daniels goes out with a rib injury. Certainly, everybody was holding their collective breaths. Now, it did come to find out the initial test results, X-rays, were negative, which are good. Looks like Jayden Daniels, he came back out in the second half. He was smiling. He was looking happy, so it looks like that he's probably going to be okay. I know his mother tweeted and said that Jayden is okay, so that was kind of a sigh of relief. Adam Schefter had also tweeted and said that a source said that Jayden Daniels was okay. The source is probably Mama, but regardless, it's good to know. It looks like that maybe we will have him for the next week, because I'm telling you, next week's going to be a very big game. It's going to be a very big game of the 4-2 Chicago Bears, #1 overall draft pick, and Caleb Williams going against the 5-2 Washington Commanders and the #2 overall draft pick and Jayden Daniels. And so, this is one of those games that you circle on the calendar before the season even starts, not knowing really how these teams are going to be. Maybe at that point you're assuming, okay, these two teams are just going to be, showcasing future stars, which yeah, that's still going to happen, hopefully. But not knowing that at this point in the season that both of those teams are playing really good football and at the top of their division. So, well, I'm not quite sure if Chicago is necessarily at the top of their division, but they're up there. So, it's very exciting to see our team, of course, playing like they are at a high level. And not only that, but when you have a star quarterback going down, you can have your 10-year vet coming in and playing really good football. Marcus Mariota played really well today, really well. As soon as he got his feet under him, I mean, I'm telling you, he ran that offense like he like he's been in this offense for 10 years, honestly, which is that's what you hope from your backup quarterback, right? You want them to be able to come in and everything kind of, you know, remains the same, business as usual, right? That's what we are hoping for is business as usual. So let's just let's get into the stats. Um, so Andy Dalton, horrible day for him. 11 to 16, 93 yards. He didn't even break 100 yards passing. Two interceptions, sacked a couple of times. Of course, Bryce Young only came in for that last drive. Um, so dismal day for the Carolina Panthers quarterbacks. On the other side, before Jayden went out, he was 2 for 2, 6 yards. He had three rushes for 50 yards. That one big rush, which might have been the one that injured him. I don't know because after he did that awful looking scramble to the left, when you really started to see him kind of give up, so to speak. I don't know if maybe that had come from the that previous big run before. It was an exciting run, but you're always holding your breath. You're like, guy needs to get down. But Marcus Mariota comes in. He had 11 rushes for 34 yards himself. 18 of 23 for 205 yards, two touchdowns, no interceptions. Big day for Marcus Mariota. Brian Robinson Jr., workhorse today, 12 carries. Can't believe he only had 12 carries. But 12 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Jerry McNichols had 7 carries for 42 yards. Austin Eckler had 4 carries for 17 yards. Terry McLaurin, pretty good day for him. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he had 6 receptions, just a couple of yards short of the century mark. Zach Ertz had a touchdown today, as Ben Snott had his first touchdown of his career. Excellent day for our tight ends. Zacchaeus had a really good day, 4 yards, 25 yards. Diamond Brown had a catch. Noah Brown had a catch. Didn't really see anything from Luke McCaffrey today. But, that's the thing. These wide receivers, these quarterbacks, they really spread the ball out, and you really don't know who's going to have a big day. You feel like, okay, Terry McLaurin should have a big day because he's your number one receiver. But, outside of that, you really feel like you really feel like that you should spread the football around. And it really kind of also shows you that we still don't have a true number 2 receiver. You get Zacchaeus who's made some plays. Diamond Brown will make a play here and there. Noah Brown will make a play here and there. And every now and then you're going to see Luke McCaffrey make some clutch plays as well, but not really a true number 2 after Terry McLaurin. And Terry McLaurin, of course, he's solidified himself as number 1. I think we can all agree on that. But honestly, today the defense had a monster day. Emmanuel Forbes getting an interception. How about that, folks? I have to applaud Emmanuel Forbes getting that pick. That was awesome. I loved seeing it. I want to see more of that out of Emmanuel Forbes. But I'm telling you, Frankie Louvu, of course, always playing great today. But Dante Fowler, it's funny. I'm looking at his numbers, and it doesn't look like much, but he had a big day today. Catching that ball for ricochet and taking it all in for the Commanders' first score. That was big. Colin Farrell did pretty well today. Deron Payne stepped up a little bit. He had 2 solo tackles, 3 total. Of course, again, you're seeing your secondary and your linebackers making a lot of the tackles, which tells you that running backs get into the second level, and so you really want to try to limit that. But I'll tell you, Washington really did a good job. That was one of the key plays, or one of the keys to the game that I had talked about in the last video, was that you need to limit Carolina's rushing attack, and you need to put the ball in the hands of their quarterbacks. Andy Dalton, you need to put the ball in his hand, force him to pass. And if it's not Andy, if it's Bryce Young, same thing. And that's exactly what the Commanders did, and it worked. It worked like a charm. But the defense, my hat's off to the defense. Special teams made some big plays as well. So overall, a big day for the Washington Commanders. They beat the Carolina Panthers 40-7. And so now, uh, we talk about this game being a game that they needed to win and win decisively, and they did that. It solidifies the fact that there's something special going on in Washington being built. Um, and on top of that, there's electricity. Now, I don't usually get to go to the games, unfortunately, but my co host, Brandon Scott, went to the game, so he can pretty much tell you the electricity that's going on, especially today with the retirement ceremony of Daryl Green's number. And Daryl Green getting the key to the city, and just they won this for Daryl Green today. Um, just outstanding. Daryl Green. If you didn't get a chance to watch him play, you really missed a treat. Gerald Green, from his first rookie, I remember his rookie season. I remember that play of him running down Tony Dorsett. Um, but just following his long career, he just, even in his twilight of his career, when you thought maybe he had slowed down, he was still faster than probably at least 70% of the other corners out there. He was outstanding. He could probably still play if he had to, a bet. Even in the 60s, he still looked pretty good. But just outstanding to know that this organization is really doing their best to unite the legends, unite the old with the new. And I think they need to really honestly, they need to continue to do that, especially if they're going to try to build the current brand that is the Washington Commanders. And we all are on, a lot of fans are on so many different sides of this. Um, you still need to be able to you never want to alienate the past. Some people do. Some people want to alienate the past and everything that was accomplished, except they want to claim the Super Bowls. And that always bugs me to death. So being able to honor past people, Mark Rippon was out there firing people up, waving the flags. It was great to see him out there. And of course, this was also alumni weekend as well for Washington. So it was great being able to see some pictures of the posse, Art Montgomery Clark, Ricky Sanders out there. So it was just wonderful. I would love, maybe next year, if I'm able to come out during alumni weekend, I'd love to be able to see some of these guys, meet some of these guys, um, you know, as well as our current players. But anyway, talking about what we're seeing right now with the Washington Commanders, you're seeing a team that's very, very good as far as being coached. Very, very good coached team. Dan Quinn is putting something together that's very special. And I haven't seen this, I haven't felt this in a long time. Some people may feel like, oh, yeah, back in maybe 2005 or whatever, we felt there was something special with this team. Nothing in the Joe Gibbs 2.0 era, and I am a huge fan. Joe Gibbs is one of my all-time. He's the reason why I became a Redskins fan. But in nothing in his second tenure told me that he had a special team. For some reason, I feel like this team is special. Why do I feel this way? I becl- I think it's because there is something being built that is um, from the top down. It's not just the coaching staff. It's not just a few star players out there who are making plays. It starts at the top, and you're seeing it. This is what really good ownership looks like, because you eventually start to see the product on the field improve when you have the backing of good ownership, when the ownership's trying to do what they can to make the home game experience much better for its fans. But when you go out and you hire the right general manager to bring in the right group of people to play, and then of course all on top of that, the right group of people to come in and coach. This team is a solid team, and it's going to continue to get better despite the fact that there's injuries. And sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes those injuries are a necessity to building depth, to getting better. Because I always felt that it can be easy to build a team of solid starters, but the difference between building a team of good, solid starters that can win you some ball games and a perennial playoff championship team is one that has depth, the one that you can bring players off the field and there's no drop off in talent. And I think that's what you're going to get with this team. We had guys that, of course, John Allen, even though we talked about he hadn't really produced much, there's still guys still had to step up. And I think for the most part that defensive line, it got pressure. It was able to, stop the running game. Of course, there's a lot of help from, uh, guys like Frankie Louvu as well, back in the linebacker positions and safety positions and things like that. But still, you had guys to step up knowing that you had some guys that were out. Now, another guy that we talked about that is out uh, with a hand injury is our center. And was it Valdez? I can't never pronounce his correct. I am bad with pronunciation of names. So, but losing our center, that can be tough, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. Because a lot of times your rookie quarterback relies on your center to get all of the correct. Um, I'm losing my mind here, guys. Your correct um, protections and things like that. Get everybody lined up correctly, and so rookie quarterback, even one like Jayden Daniels, needs that. So to have your center go out, that can be a big thing. Hopefully, we'll see if he's ready to go next week. But as the season progresses, you're going to get injuries, and the hope is that these injuries are not long sustaining injuries. Because I always feel that teams that make it to the Super Bowl are the ones that are able to keep their guys healthy. You may have a guy who has to stay out for a game or two along the way, but for the most part, you're not really sending a lot of people to IR. Of course, we sent a couple of people to IR so far. Jean Baptiste, Allen are IR. I'm hoping that we get Dorrance Armstrong back because he is a big time player for us. Um, but for the most part, defense played pretty well. Now you're going to go against the Chicago Bears team next week. That's obviously much more talented than the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to have to really, we're really going to have to see what happens with that. And you know, one thing I'm going to say is Jayden is going to do everything he possibly can to be ready for this game, and rightfully so. He should be ready, and I hope that with that, that he is excited about playing this game, because he does take it to another level. I mean, you saw how good Marcus Mariota played. And we're going to get into that as well. But when Jayden is on, it's just a notch up above that. I mean, both of those guys, honestly, and now we know why Dan Quinn and company and Cliff Kingsbury wanted Marcus Mariota, because there definitely is a lot of similarities to their games. They both play very similar games. They both have very similar styles of play. Now, Jayden Daniels, I feel like, is the better passer, and of course, he's much faster than Marcus Mariota. But Mariota, he really does have similar style of play, which I think is the reason why that he was able, once he kind of got his feet under him, he was able to go in, and that offense just kept clicking. I mean, honestly, when Mariota came in, I'm thinking, okay, well, the win total's obviously going to be lower. You're probably going to have, Washington winning, 23-13 or something like that. No, no, that offense kept clicking. And I think as well, when they started mixing in a little bit more of, the run game, feeding the ball to Brian Robinson Jr., and just using that, that really helped. And so that's the name of the game. I think that's how you really get this whole offense started, is you really start to feed Brian Robinson the football. And then after that, it really opens things up even more for your quarterbacks to take off, to pass downfield, that sort of thing. So just overall, it was exactly what I talked about in the last video, that a lot of you guys didn't tune in to watch. Why not? But for the most part, I'm just I can't get over how excited there's excitement in Washington, and I'm hoping that you guys are feeling this. You got to be feeling this, man. There's a lot of excitement going on in Washington. Um, and if you don't think there's excitement, then you really need to wake up. Now, I will say my heart sunk when Jayden Daniels was out, and I saw him like throwing his helmet down in disgust. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no. If Jayden Daniels has to miss any significant amount of time, then our season is sunk. Our season's just sunk. And I guess that's a testament of, like, you're saying that about your rookie quarterback. Because usually you feel like, well, your rookie quarterback he might look good for a little bit, but you can't really put too much into this. No, there's so much confidence in Jayden Daniels that once he got hurt, I'm like, oh no, I was not. I mean, I was not happy. No, I mean, no one was, but I really felt I went from these hopes of, we keep winning like this, we keep playing like this. This team's going to be in the playoffs. They're going to make some noise. To be back in the playoffs after such a rough year last year, and after turning over the roster like we did, is a testament to Adam Peters. And then once your starting quarterback goes down, then you're like, oh, well, let's back up, because, yeah, we might win this game, but without Jayden Daniels, we got some rough games coming up down the stretch that you need to have your starting quarterback. But again, Marcus Mariota comes in, he plays really well. But Jayden Daniels is the X factor, so you still have to have him. For games against the Bears, games against the Eagles, the Steelers. Steelers are always a solid, good team, That's going to be a big game there as well. So you really need to have Jayden Daniels in there for those games. But uh, coming out of this, I mean, if we're able to win the next couple of games, suddenly you're 7-2. Now you've reached the win total that I predicted that the Commanders would have this year, and you still have what, 8 games left. So you know you start to look and it's like I don't see how this team could, even if they split down the rest of the season, you're still coming out with more wins than you've had since 1991. So, um, and more than likely a playoff berth. So it's really hard to see. Now, if we drop next week, let's say we split the next couple of weeks, you're 6-3, still pretty good. That's 6-3. You may still even be at the top of your division at that point, and then you're heading into the last 9 games of the season, which will be rough games. They're going to be tough games, but I think winnable games as well. So, you're looking maybe if you're able to win 4 of those last few games, that's 10-7. Still better than what I thought that this team would do. So, I'm telling you, I really think the next 2 games are going to decide if the Commanders are going to go over that 10-win season or not. But I feel like at this point, I can't see how that they won't win 10 games this year, honestly. But it all depends on the health. So hopefully, Jayden Daniels will get a clear bill of health, and maybe we'll also get some of our other guys back as well, and continue to build this thing. But you guys have been very quiet, which really scares me to death. But so be it. I mean, you're probably celebrating right now, so I totally get that. I totally get that. As long as you're watching, that's the most important thing. I want you to watch. So, you know, here's another thing that I've really noticed now. I'm not at the games, but yeah, I'm not at the games, but even on TV, um, I can see the excitement. Like there are more Commanders fans that I see at these games than anything else, which is great to see. So fantastic to see. And there's an excitement. And I am just so happy that it feels like we came out of prison for the last 25 years. We're like in prison. And then to finally be out, and we got a renewed sense of just greatness that I think is ahead of us. Dante got the game ball, well deserved, as he should. Fowler was a beast today. He was a beast. So great for Dante to get that. I'm happy for him. Um, I didn't get a chance to, of course, I decided to go ahead and go on live, and so I know that a lot of you guys are probably listening to the post game presser. Um, uh, Definitely understand. I'll go back and listen to it as well. But just overall, I mean, um, what do I want to see next for this team? Well, of course, I want to see them beat Chicago, and I think that they have an opportunity to do that. They're playing them at home, so um, I want to see them beat Chicago, and I think that will give them a lot of confidence. And we said this about the Baltimore game last week. Like, okay, if they were able to beat Baltimore, we know this team is legit. Thing is, they didn't beat Baltimore, but they played them so tough. They played them so well. You still kind of felt like they can hang with the big boys. So Chicago, I feel like right now is kind of a mirror image of our team. I feel like they're playing really good football. They're playing good defense. Um, Caleb Williams has some targets to throw to. So, um, it's really going to test our secondary. But I think Emmanuel Forbes getting that interception. Santrill continues, I think, to play really well, which is the reason why he's starting. Um, so I think as the season progresses, you're going to start to see that secondary start to kind of maybe gel a little bit, start to settle down, start to make some plays. But um, they're going to have to make these plays against Caleb Williams. So it's going to be an exciting game to watch for sure. So, man, I tell you, I really don't know what else to say. Now, I don't want to look too far ahead into the future, because I'm kind of starting to dream a little bit now. I'm seeing that, okay, you got a Dallas team that is struggling. They're 500. You got the Giants who are awful. You got Philadelphia who, I mean, they're 4-2, but they really haven't played fantastic football. But probably as things start progressing, they'll start getting a little bit better. So they'll definitely challenge Washington going down the pike, and that might be a series that gets split. I don't think that Philadelphia will be able to sweep Washington this year. I think you're going to see a split there. I think Washington should be able to sweep the Giants. I think that they should be able to at least split with Dallas, but who knows? Maybe they sweep them as well. But um, I see some of these other teams, these other games, and if I could go, honestly, if I can go to their schedule and just kind of look ahead, um, let's see, Washington, and so of course, yes, we got the Bears, the Giants. Looking at the Steelers, the Eagles, the Cowboys. Those are three pretty tough games going down the stretch. So if the Giants were able, or if the Commanders were able to somehow get to 7-2 after the Giants game, you got three games where you could see them possibly, you know, evening things up a little bit more with their record. 'Cause you don't know. I mean, you're playing the Eagles in prime time at Philadelphia. It's always a tough place to play. That could be a loss. Steelers always play well against us, it seems like. Although I think we did beat them the last time we played them, but still, they're always a tough team to play. You could see a 7-4 maybe by the time you get to the Cowboys, and then after that, you got the Titans, you got the Saints, you got the Eagles again. The Falcons, you really don't. That's a team that I'm not really sure about. The Saints seem like they started off really hot, and now I'm like don't know much about the Saints now at this point. So yeah, I mean you're looking at this schedule, and it really doesn't seem like it's too bad of a schedule going down. I mean there's some tough games, but you got some games that you should be able to possibly, hopefully, win and win decisively. So we'll see about that. Um, I think right now what we'll do, we'll focus on Jayden Daniels, and if he'll be ready, knowing Dan Quinn and company, they'll probably not make a decision till the end of the week, which is a smart thing to do because you want to be able to kind of keep the other team on the hook. The funny thing is, as I said before, it feels like Marcus Mariota, his style of play is so similar to Jayden Daniels that honestly, if you're preparing, you're still preparing for Jayden Daniels, I think, either way. There's not really much of a difference with Marcus Mariota coming in there. maybe a little bit slower, but maybe not quite as crisp of a passer. Still, I mean, when he got going, he got going. So, um, yeah, let's just let's see how things goes. But folks, I tell you, a lot of excitement, just a lot of. I just enjoyed sitting back and at one point my thing was I know we're going to win this game, but how much are we going to win this game by? Um, I want to be able to see a 50 burger. Didn't really get to see a 50 burger, but um, hey, 40 points. That's not too bad. Tomlin is 24-6 in games against rookie quarterbacks. Steeler games will be a great test for JD5. Absolutely. And Steelers are always a tough team to play anyway. I know right now things are a little bit, I guess, up in the air as far as the quarterback situation, but Mike Tomlin always has his team prepared. And that's going to be a very tough game. That is a home game for us, but it's going to be a very tough game. So, but how do you prepare for a JD5, right? I mean, until you get out there, it's really tough, and he's good, and he's going to get his points. He's going to make some plays. And if he had not gotten hurt today, no tellings what this team would have done. I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying that he would have rested in the second half because I think the Commanders probably would have scored more than 40 with Jayden Daniels in there. So they Seattle, I mean not Seattle, but the Pittsburgh game is going to be a big test. I still think the Eagles game is going to be a huge test. Next week's going to be a big game. You never want to look past the Giants because the Giants are the Giants, and they're just when you feel like you need to beat them by 40, it doesn't happen. So I want to beat them decisively the next time we play the Giants, just because all those games against the Giants that we had during the Rivera era, and it's like Rivera teetered on wins so close, and then he just didn't do it. And so the Giants started kind of leading us in head-to-head games. And even this year, it's like that was our first win of the season was against the Giants, and it was like, what was it, 7 field goals? I mean, it was, but yet we won. I don't want to do another, nothing but field goal thing. I want the Commanders to beat. I want the Commanders to beat the Giants soundly, regardless of what happens next week. I want to see that. I want to see that. Sacrifice says, turn up the HTTR for life. Yes. Yes, the Redskin. I tell you, I mean, look at this, folks. I'm sporting Joe Theismann. My wife got this for me for our anniversary. Today is our 12th wedding anniversary. So much love to my wifey. And she got me this, and so I'm supporting the Joe Theismann. And folks, you may not have known, maybe you did, but if not, go back and watch the video. We had Joe Theismann on our podcast a couple of months ago before the season started. So if you didn't see that, go back and watch it. We're trying to get people like that on this channel, which means you need to watch, because we're trying to offer you as much great entertainment, to have some of these legends on the podcast as much as possible. See, Nani says, no, why did Jayden Daniels get hurt? Because he had rib injury. Hopefully the x-rays were negative, so he should be okay, but rib injury, it's going to happen. Thankfully, it wasn't a knee or throwing hand or anything like that. So shoulders, areas like that, bad for quarterbacks. Rib injury, assuming there's no broken ribs, then you're usually pretty good. You might be uncomfortable for a bit, but you can usually bounce back from that pretty quickly. Now, broken ribs is a different story. You could be out, maybe 4 or 6 games with broken ribs, maybe more than that. So, um, uh, initial reports sounded good. So hopefully, Jayden will be ready to go next week. And if he's not, we'll ride with Marcus Mariota. But I think you need to, if you do that, you definitely need to ride Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, Jerry McNichols. You need to ride these guys as much as possible. So anyway, um, folks, it is almost 8 o'clock, and I've been on this podcast about 40 minutes. So we are going to go ahead and call it an evening. But I hope that all of you really enjoyed um, the game, really enjoyed the podcast. Um, let's see. If he broke his rib, I don't think he comes back out there like he was. Exactly. He came back out there smiling, relieved. And they did say the initial x rays were negative. So I think he's good with that. I don't think you have to worry about that. Um, so, yeah, folks, I'm excited. It's the first time in a while that I've gotten to be able to sit back and just enjoy a game like that, knowing that our team was going to dominate from start to finish. And they did. They dominated from start to finish. It was a fantastic thing to see. I enjoyed it. I know all of you enjoyed it. And feeling pretty good about things. And guess what? We'll see the Chicago Bears next week. And that's going to be a big game as well. Hey, folks, please do me a favor. Make sure that you subscribe to the Washington Football Maniacs. And when you do, hit that notification bell. YouTube doesn't always notify folks. So you really want to make sure that you do that. And as well, just, get the word out, like these videos, share them with your friends, but especially, hit the thumbs up on these videos. That really, really helps to get all of these videos, these streams out there to the masses. And when you don't interact, it's very tough. It's very tough for small channels like mine to succeed when you don't support. So we really appreciate that. Hey, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it an evening. And with that said, I'm going to see you in the next one. But hey, held to the Commanders, held to the Washington Redskins. I'm still going to support that, man. Call me whatever you want to call me. But I've been a lifelong fan since 81. Be a lifelong fan until the day I die. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next one.